Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome back once again to the Bhagavad Gita study circle. Today we are in the 26th, I think this is the 27th session that we are in right now, and very glad to have all of you, and this whole journey has been so wonderful for me at least, because as I am speaking I am also learning a lot of things from Bhagavad Gita. It is very important that we keep sharing this wonderful knowledge and also listen and try to apply this knowledge in our own lives. So in the previous sessions, in the last say about 6 months, I think close to 6 months, we have been discussing Bhagavad Gita, and not 6 months, I think a little less than 6 months, but it's very important that to have a quick recap of what we have already discussed in chapter 1 and chapter 2. So chapter 1, it's also called as Vishada Yoga, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, and we understood in chapter 1 that how Arjuna, he was confused about his duties, and he developed an intention to not fight, and he gave very logical reasoning as to why he doesn't want to fight. And in chapter 2, he asked further questions, and then finally he surrenders to Krishna in verse number 7. And he wants to know more about what he has to do as a Kshatriya. And then very beautifully, chapter 2, which is called as Sankhya Yoga, Krishna explains different concepts. In fact, Prabhupada gives the title to this chapter as the contents of the Gita summarized. That means all that we need to cover in Bhagavad Gita is all condensed in this chapter 2. And if Arjuna had understood chapter 2, then there was no need for Krishna to speak the rest of the chapters. It would just be over by this end of chapter 2. But then, that is not the case. And why it is, we will understand today why Arjuna is still not satisfied and he wants to know more about his duty. So that is what Krishna is going to clarify further going forward from chapter 3. That's why we are here in chapter 3 today. So we have understood in the previous chapter, in the last section, what are the qualities of Sthita Prajna. Krishna has explained about Sankhya Yoga, about Jnana Yoga, about Buddhi Yoga, all these different things, Karma Yoga, Karma Kanda, and the most important section of chapter 2 was knowing our true identity, the true nature of the self, the qualities of the soul. So that is the most important thing. In fact, Prabhupada is going to hammer this point again and again and again in the rest of the Bhagavad Gita, that we are not the body, we are the soul. We are not the body, we are the soul. You know, this has to get deep within our consciousness that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. It's extremely important point, because everything, all the different concepts that we discuss, the basis for that is to know and understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. Okay, so here, like I told you earlier, that how karma and karma yoga has always fascinated people. Many people are attracted towards knowing what is karma, and especially when it comes to action and reaction, there are so many mysteries around karma yoga, right? So people are also very fond of understanding mysteries of life. So especially karma, because it all deals with their own actions. So one reason why people are attracted towards karma is because every day we perform actions and we want to know what will be the reactions of our actions, right? So Newton's third law states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So this principle was very well given by our scriptures, that is nothing but law of karma. And in this chapter, while we are discussing this chapter, we will also discuss some specific points related to karma, like if you perform a certain action, what kind of reactions that we are going to get for those particular actions. So these are also certain tidbits which we will share during this discussion of this particular chapter. Okay, so now let's begin with the overview of what is this chapter 3 all about. And I completely dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is my beloved spiritual master and also the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, the overview or the breakdown of chapter 3 is like this. So, there are about 5 sections in chapter 3, and totally there are about 43 verses in chapter 3. Now, chapter 2 was one of the longest chapters in the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2 is the second longest chapter. It has 72 shlokas. And the longest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita is chapter 18, which has 78 shlokas. So, chapter 3 is having 43 shlokas, and it's also quite big chapter, and it's very important that we understand this chapter in detail. Okay, 15 minutes. Alright, So here, the very first section of chapter 3 is the first two shlokas, 3.1 and 3.2, wherein Arjuna is going to ask further questions to Krishna, and he's asking about renunciation or work. Whether should I work or should I renounce everything? That is his question. And in section 2, that is from 3.33 to 3.9, that is Nishkama Karma Yoga. We often hear people talking about Nishkam Karma, Nishkam Bhav se humko karma karna hai. You know, these kind of things we hear. So we will understand what is Nishkama Karma. And in section 3, that is 3.10 to 3.16, that is where we understand how we have to move from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. We have already understood briefly what is Karma Kanda and what is Karma Yoga. So how do we move from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga is this section, and section number 4, that is 3.17 to 3.35, we are going to discuss Nishkama Karma to set correct example. It's important that how to perform this Nishkama Karma so that people will follow us, because Krishna is going to explain that yad achariti shrestha. Normal people, common man, follows the actions of a great person. So how do we perform Nishkama Karma Yoga? And then in section 5, that is the last section, that is 3.36 to 3.43, Krishna is going to warn Arjuna about lust and anger. And why is he going to do that? We will understand as we discuss this chapter. Okay? So, let's begin with the very first shloka of chapter 3, that is 3.1, and I request Achyutanji to unmute yourself and please chant this shloka along with me. That will be really nice. So verse number 1 of chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Jayasi Chet Karmanaste
Jayasi Chet Karmanaste
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam
Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam
Niyojayasi Keshava.
Niyojayasi Keshava.
Once again, Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Jayasi Chet Karmanaste
Jayasi Chet Karmanaste
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam
Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam
Niyojayasi Keshava.
Niyojayasi Keshava.
Wonderful. Please repeat the translation. Arjuna said,
Arjuna said,
O Janardana,
O Janardana,
O Keshava,
O Keshava,
why do you urge me
why do you urge me
to engage in this ghastly warfare
to engage in this ghastly warfare
if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work?
intelligence is better than fruitive work?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Correct.
Very good. So here, this is a very, very valid question from Arjuna. So you see, the journey of Arjuna has been quite bewildering in the last first and second chapter. So Arjuna, when he saw the whole army in front of him and he saw his relatives in the opposite party, he got bewildered, and out of compassion and all those reasons we have already understood, he didn't want to fight. His intention was to somehow avoid this war, right? And in order to not fight, he started giving explanations produced from his fertile mind. So his mind gave and dictated him certain things, and due to which those arguments he wanted to avoid the fight. Then he thought, oh, it's okay. I mean, my mind may say certain things, but better that I understand from Krishna, who is my friend. And that is how he surrenders to Krishna, and he wants to understand from Krishna what he has to do. Now, after listening to Krishna's description of the soul and karma kanda, karma yoga, jnana yoga, Arjuna was thinking that, okay, my confusion will be over, but that is not the case. And that's why he's asking this question. Now Arjuna is confused. Now what is the confusion is, his intention is that he wants to avoid fighting. He has an idea of non-violence and he doesn't want to fight. But when he listens to Krishna, now Krishna is telling him two things. You perform karma yoga, and then he is also telling that you be very peaceful and you acquire jnana yoga. By acquiring jnana yoga, you will become free from all the bondage. So now Arjuna is thinking, if Krishna, he thinks that jnana yoga is better than karma, then why is he engaging me in this warfare? Why not I just renounce everything and go to the forest and acquire knowledge, right? So there are certain contradictory statements Arjuna thinks, although it is not contradictory, but Arjuna thinks that there is some confusion arising. Why that confusion is because you see in chapter 2, verse number 39, Krishna says, Buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So, if anybody works with intelligence, he will become free from karma. If anybody acquires jnana, then he will become free from the bondage of karma. So now Arjuna is thinking, if Krishna is telling this, why is he engaging me in action? Why not I just go and acquire a lot of knowledge? Isn't so? It's so wonderful actually. Just go acquire knowledge and then why to fight? Why do I have to do all this karma? This is one statement. And another statement why Arjuna doesn't want to fight is, he's saying that Krishna, it is not me or my mind, but it is you who told in verse number 49, Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya. You only told me that Durena avaram karma. Avaram karma means abominable karma. And this warfare, how can this be a very good karma? Where the outcome of this whole war is so ghastly. People are going to die. Relatives are going to die. And so many anarthas will come up in this whole world. So why are you asking me to perform this Durena avaram karma? This avaram karma is not good. You only told, but now again you are encouraging me to fight. Why? You see? And not just that, in the verse number 70 of chapter 2, Krishna said that Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashantim apnoti na kama kami. You may get lot of desires, but one who has control over desires, one who doesn't fulfill his materialistic desires, sashantim apnoti na kama kami. That person is very peaceful. So we are supposed to become peaceful, isn't it? We should all be peace lovers. So Krishna, you are telling us to remain peaceful, but then you are also asking me to fight. In 71 also he is saying the same thing. He said that nirmamo nirahankara sashantim adhigacchati. So Krishna is again talking about shanti. And the one who is devoid of the sense of proprietorship, he is the one who is going to be very, very peaceful. But now when we fight this war, we will have the sense of proprietorship because, oh, this kingdom is going to belong to me. all these people are going to belong to me. So that sense of proprietorship will come and I will not be very peaceful. Right? So now with all these instructions, we see that Arjuna is having further conflict in his mind. Rather than thinking that, oh, I'll become free from what Krishna has spoken, there is further doubts in Arjuna's mind. And this is what happens to most of us. Most people, in order to fulfill their deep intentions, which are lingering in their mind, they take the support of Shastras. And that is exactly what Arjuna is doing. He doesn't want to fight. He really doesn't want to fight. But in order to justify his intention, he is taking the support of Krishna's statements and he is saying, see Krishna, you only told that not to fight. But now you are asking me to fight. So this is what people do, that they take certain statements from the Shastras and conveniently they fit it in such a way that they fulfill their desire. It really doesn't disturb their desire. So that is not what Krishna wants us to do. It's not that I have a certain materialistic desire and to fulfill and act according to my own desire, I will take the support of the Shastras. And that is really very nice. So that when I take the support of Shastras, then I will not be under the bondage of karma. We think so. But that is not true. So Krishna is going to really cut off all these doubts of Arjuna going forward. So this is what Arjuna is asking here. It's because he has this conflicting statements from Krishna. Krishna is saying, oh, to perform karma, and once he is saying that no, it's better than karma, it's Jnana Yoga. Then if Jnana Yoga is better than karma, then I can better just go and acquire Jnana. Why do I have to perform this action, this karma of fighting? So Prabhupada in the purport is very beautifully saying that, in other words, Arjuna, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. So many times we take this scriptural knowledge and give an excuse to not perform our duty. And this kind of lame excuses will not help us to progress in spiritual life. We become stagnant. If we think that by reading Bhagavad Gita I will just fulfill my own desires, then you will remain stagnant. We need to come out of the comfort zone. If we continue to be in our own comfort zone, then there is no possibility for us to apply this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Absolutely no. And we will not get realizations. And without realization, how will we practice spiritual life? Because spiritual life is all about realization. Realization comes only when there is action, but action with knowledge. We should understand one thing very clearly. Knowledge and karma, action, they are not mutually exclusive things. Both jnana and karma are not mutually exclusive. Many people think that, oh, let me follow only jnana. And some people say, no, let me follow only karma. So no, that is not going to help. If you want to have a lot of harvest, a good harvest, you should have a jnana of what kind of seed to be used, what kind of soil you need to have, how much water to pour, and what kind of pesticides and all those things, manure you need to put. This jnana is extremely important. But if you simply have the jnana and you really don't perform the action of sowing the seed and tilling the field, then you're not going to get the harvest. So jnana is important and karma is also important. And when they are together, with Krishna in the center, that is what is called as Bhakti Yoga. So simply jnana and karma is not going to help all of us. So we need both. So now that is why this is the confusion that Arjuna has, that he is thinking that jnana is separate, karma is separate. So let me just follow jnana and avoid this karma of fighting. So this is going to be clarified by Krishna. Okay, so let's see what Krishna is going to further say in the next verse. Yes. Kumar Saran, can you unmute yourself and repeat this shloka? Alright. Chaitanya, you can unmute yourself and let's chant. Okay. Alright. So let's chant the second verse. Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Once again, vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Please repeat the translation. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions.
I cannot see the screen now, Prabhu.
Okay.
I was not able to see the screen.
By your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively what is most beneficial for me. Thank you. Alright, so this is where Arjuna is saying Vyamishreneva vakyena. Mishra means mixed words. Vakyena. So equivocal words. Oh Krishna, with this equivocal word of yours, your instruction in the previous chapter, now my intelligence is bewildered. I am confused whether to do karma or whether to perform jnana. What am I supposed to do? So that is why he says tad ekam vada nishchitya. So nishchitya, you please tell me one thing clearly. You don't confuse me like this. Please tell me one thing which is very, very simple to follow and I can understand it better. So he is telling nishchitya, you tell me one thing which is yena shreyoham apnuyam, which is shreya for me, which is most beneficial for me. Shreyaha. So this is exactly what happens to us many times when we read Bhagavad Gita. We see there are some statements which appear to be contradictory, but they are not. And because of this contradiction within our mind, we get confused. And that is exactly what is happening to Arjuna. Now, in no way Krishna wants to do some word jugglery and confuse Arjuna. That is not his intention. But the way Arjuna understood Krishna's instructions, that is where the problem is. And this is exactly what happens to us. And we should know, in reality, Arjuna is just playing a role of all of us. He is asking these questions on behalf of us. He is a great devotee, he is a great soul. Arjuna is the greatest devotee, he is a dear friend of Krishna. But this whole setup of Bhagavad Gita is for us. So Arjuna is actually playing a role of all of us, and on behalf of us, he is asking these questions to Krishna so that we don't become confused. So it is not that Arjuna is confused, it is we are who are confused. And for our benefit, he is asking these questions. Okay, so this is very interesting, and that is what from this particular shloka, it will lead to many more questions that Arjuna will ask in the Bhagavad Gita. I think there are about approximately 13 questions that Arjuna has asked in the whole of Bhagavad Gita. And all his questions very beautifully are explained by Krishna in all the chapters. So when he had the first 5 questions in chapter 1 and chapter 2, Krishna clarified all those answers in chapter 2 itself. But that led to further questions. And this is very important. As spiritual seekers, it is not that we hear once and we understand everything. Whenever there is a doubt, whenever there is something that is conflicting in our mind, it is important that we immediately clarify with our spiritual guides or our spiritual master. It's extremely important. And that is how we build our spiritual intelligence and we start progressing in spiritual life. So this is exactly what Arjuna is doing. He has already surrendered and now he wants to further get clarifications from Krishna. So here, many people who take up Bhagavad Gita and just imagine if they open the Bhagavad Gita and they just open the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, they just read Karma Yoga, because many people these days, since they are interested in karma and they know that yes, Bhagavad Gita also speaks about karma, so they know that chapter 3, they will Google and they find out that chapter 3 is all about Karma Yoga. So they will just read Karma Yoga. And when they read Karma Yoga alone, they may come to a conclusion that, oh, so wonderful, karma, performing karma and Karma Yoga is the topmost. Karma is an amazing thing, so we should just follow Karma Yoga. So many people may just get an understanding that karma is all in all. Karma Yoga is all in all. But this is not what Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita. This knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is not a linear progression. It is not progressing linearly. Bhagavad Gita is a spiral progression. It is moving round and round and at the same time it is moving forward. That is how Krishna is taking this discussion forward in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's not that I just listen to Karma Yoga and I understand everything. No. After karma, there are many more things that are going to come. And this is what we call in the Bhagavad Gita as the yoga ladder. If you are able to see the screen, that will be really very nice. So now, Krishna, in the further chapters, he is going to explain this yoga ladder. But since today we are starting this chapter on yoga, karma yoga, it's important that we have a quick overview of this whole yoga ladder. It's extremely important. You see, when Prabhupada explains or translates Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, he mentions that it is Bhakti Yoga. It is action in devotion. He says that it is actually Krishna consciousness. Whether it is Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Prabhupada translates that as Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. And this is because it is his compassion. Because just imagine if somebody takes only the third chapter and he reads only third chapter, he will miss out the real essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada, out of his compassion, this is the speciality of Prabhupada's presentation also. That only in Bhagavad Gita as it is, you will see that no matter which chapter you take, you will see the connection with the ultimate essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And the ultimate essence of the Bhagavad Gita is actually bhakti. So when you take and read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, you will see that constantly Prabhupada is stressing on this very important point. He is constantly saying that you need to focus on Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, but in relationship with Bhakti Yoga. So this is extremely important because people many times they misunderstand and they take only portions of the Bhagavad Gita and they miss out the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and that shouldn't happen. Right? So now, this is extremely important to know about the yoga ladder. So, like we know, this Bhagavad Gita is actually called the Yoga Shastra. Every chapter is also called as a certain yoga. And what is yoga? Yoga means to connect. Yoga means to link. Another meaning of yoga is also solution. Another meaning of yoga is also solution. So Krishna is giving solutions to different problems of life in each chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So now in this yoga ladder, there are 7 rungs. There are 7 steps, you can say. And we need to understand this yoga ladder and ingrain in our brain, in our mind, in our consciousness, so that we understand this whole process of yoga very nicely, which is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. So what is this yoga ladder? So, the third rung from the bottom, that let us take it as Karma Kanda. As shown in the screen, you will see the third rung of this ladder, yoga ladder, is Karma Kanda. Let us understand what is Karma Kanda. See, in the Vedic times, people, they used to at least follow Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. What do we mean? People who follow Karma Kanda, they accept some authority. They accept that there is somebody superior to them. It can be Krishna. If not Krishna, they will at least accept the Devatas as an authority. They will go to Ganesha, they will go to Durga, they will go to Shiva, they will go to Kartikeya. So there are different Devatas, and they will go and accept at least someone as an authority. So, Karma Kanda means what? People who have desires. All of us have desires. But people who follow this Karma Kanda, they want to fulfill their materialistic desires, but within the purview of the Vedas. They will follow the instructions of the Vedas, and then as per the instructions of the Vedas, they will perform their karma. For example, somebody wants to have a very beautiful wife. Then there is a section that you have to go and worship Shiva, and Shiva will bestow a very good wife. Similarly, somebody wants a very good husband, then they will go and worship Uma, who is the wife of Shiva. And then for somebody doesn't have children, then they will have to perform Putra Kamesh Yajna, just like Dashrath Maharaj performed, and Lord Rama was born. So, there are a lot of such sections in the Vedas which explain that, okay, you have a certain desire, no problem. You fulfill your desire, but you fulfill that as per the Vedic injunction. So, this kind of fulfilling desires, fulfillment of desires, is actually called Karma Kanda. And this is valid. I mean, although you are having the reaction for all the actions that you are going to perform, it is not that you will become free from the reaction by Karma Kanda. You perform good actions, you will get good reactions to that. So Karma Kanda doesn't mean that you are becoming free from bondage, but it is definitely good karma. It helps you to perform good karma, not become free from reaction. So now, okay, so this is Karma Kanda, that we are performing all good activities as per the Vedas. Then what is the rung below that? What can it be? And that rung below Karma Kanda is animal life. So this is very important. Now, what do we mean by animal life? Mahabharata says, Dharmena hina pashubhi samana, which means that if you take out dharma from the human society, then the human society is no better than animals. What differentiates human beings from animals is dharma, the injunctions of the Vedas, the knowledge of the scriptures. This is what makes us different from the animals. If we minus dharma from the human society, then humans are as good as dvipada pashuhu, animals on 2 legs. Animals generally they run on 4 legs, but we human beings, we are running on 2 legs, but we are animals, as good as animals. Why are we as good as animals? Because what do animals do? Animals are quite busy in doing only 4 things. What are those? Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maituna. eating, sleeping, mating and depending. You see, animals are constantly taking care of these 4 basic instincts. What is the very first instinct? Eating. You see, there is this dog on the street which is eating the pig or the rat or anything that you take. Everybody, the moment they wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is they go and look out for food. Where is food? Where is food? Where is food? Now, you see, look at the pig. It is actually eating all the stool in the gutter, but it is so nicely enjoying it. If you go and take nice halwa and give it to the pig will not like it. Hey, say, don't give me this. You know, the pig will not like it. You may have a nice pizza in the Pizza Hut or Domino's, but the same thing is not liked by the pig because it's a relative word. You may think it is dirty, but for the pig it is very nice. So it is eating all the stool. You see? So let's understand. So eating is one thing which is common between animals and humans. The second thing is sleeping. Now this pig or any other animal, the dog may sleep on the street. We may sleep in a very nice air-conditioned room. But although we have air-conditioned rooms, we don't get sleep, unfortunately. So sleeping is common. Then mating. You see, the dog on the street is also producing children. We are also producing children. So now that dog may actually do that act, on a street. We may do it in a closed room, but still the action is the same. The pleasure obtained by a dog by performing the sexual act on the street is the same as human beings getting the pleasure in a closed room. The pleasure is the same, only the conditions are different. You see? And then depending. When you see there is a dog, another dog coming into another dog's territory, this dog will bark and try to shoo away the other dog. It will bark and say, hey, go away from my place. This is my territory. It belongs to me. Get lost from this. The same thing we are doing. Recently the Pakistan attacked us and then we are defending. Hey, this is our boundary. You don't come. We are going to defend. This is our territory. Don't come into Kashmir. You see, we are also defending. So if we are just busy doing only these 4 things, eating, sleeping, mating and defending, how are we good than animals? So this is animal life, and animal life, people think that I don't have to accept any authority. I don't need anybody above me. Because anyway, if I am only concerned with eating, sleeping and mating and defending, science and technology is giving me all of these things. So let me just follow science and technology. Why do I follow all these things? Why should I accept God? I don't need God in my life. You see, this is animal life. Because animals, they don't accept any authority. They are just busy doing these 4 activities. So are we just supposed to do these 4 things and nothing else? Absolutely no, because human beings are bestowed with spiritual intelligence. Right? So this is animal life. Okay, by the way, am I audible to you? Because I get some noise. I just want to confirm. Am I audible? Okay, great. Thank you. So you see, so this animal life needs to be avoided. We don't have to act like animals. Oh, if this is animal life, then what do you show that another rung below animal life? And that is lower than animal life. So this is not a very good thing, but it is truth and it is a fact that there are people who have their consciousness lower than the animals, which is definitely not a good sign in the society. And why do I say so? Is because, you see, if I ask you what is the prescribed food for a sheep, what is your answer? Come on, let me take some answers from all of you. What is the prescribed food for the sheep? Anyone here? You can actually unmute yourself and you can directly speak.
Green leaves.
Green leaves, yes. Sometimes when you go to the butcher shop, you will see that lot of green leaves are hung there, some bushes and all those things, and the goats or the sheep are constantly munching. Although they know that in just a few minutes they are going to be butchered, but they are happily, nicely munching. So that is very nice. What is the prescribed food of a pigeon? Can anyone say what is the prescribed food for a pigeon?
Grains, Guruji.
Grains, exactly, thank you. So you see, you take the hens or any bird, generally they take the grains. So the prescribed food for the birds is basically the grains. What is now the prescribed food of a tiger?
Meat.
Meat, yes, exactly. You see, when the tiger or the lion is hungry, it goes and it hunts for some animal and it will eat it. So it wants to enjoy the meat. So the prescribed food for the tiger is meat. So we know the prescribed food for sheep, for the pigeons, for the lion and tiger. Now, what is the prescribed food for human beings?
Sattvic food.
They were quite sattvic, that's why you are saying. Be specific now.
Vegetarian food.
Good. So Chaitanya is saying vegetarian food. Anybody else has any other opinion?
Plant-based food.
Okay, so Mataji is saying plant-based food. So you see, in our science textbooks, in our school, we have been taught that human beings are omnivorous. We are not herbivores, we are not just carnivores, but we are omnivores. So omnivores means we can be actually eating plant-based food, we can actually be eating meat and eggs and everything. And many people, especially you go to Odisha, they think that even the fish is a vegetarian thing. So they eat fish as if it's some kind of vegetable. So you see, many times there is a big confusion when it comes to eating. That means we are not even aware what we are supposed to eat, and we are being taught something that we are not supposed to do. In our schools and colleges, we have learned that we are omnivores, which is not true. Like Mataji and some of you said, we are supposed to eat only sattvic food, we are just supposed to eat plant-based food, and all the wonderful sattvic food mentioned in the 17th chapter that Krishna is going to explain. Like food grains, like milk products, fruits, all these come into the category of sattvic food. So, that is the prescribed food for human beings, right? But there are people who don't follow this. They will just eat whatever comes onto their plate, and their whole idea is somehow the other, hook or crook, fill your belly and satisfy your hunger. That is their idea. You see, a sheep will not eat meat. It will not eat anything other than leaves. A tiger will not come and eat your fruits, or it will not come and eat your nice pizza. No. The tiger is always wanting to eat nice meat. It will not eat all the vegetables and grass. Because they are very, very set in their thinking. They follow their nature. They know that this is the prescribed food for me, and they will not encroach on our food. But we human beings, we have no idea as to what we are supposed to eat, and we keep on eating whatever we want. And that is the reason why we are lower than animals now. Some of us, not everyone. Most people today are becoming lower than animals because they don't even know what is their own nature. So that is eating. What about sleeping? You see, there are these beautiful birds in the morning. The sun rises right, and the Arunodaya that happens, then there is that rooster which makes the noise, and then there are birds which will start chirping, and there is so much of light that is coming onto right when there is dawn, and there is so much of activity. Because they know that this is the time that we need to do a lot of activity, they follow the nature, and right when the sun is setting, each one of them, they will just go and nicely take rest. By 7:30 you will see all the birds, they go back to the nest and they are resting. But unfortunately for most people, human beings, that is the waking time. Just when the sun is setting, people start becoming very active and they start going to offices, and this is what we see in the modern corporate culture. Night duties and night shifts and all these things. So we are completely unregulated, totally unregulated. And it is disturbing our mindset, it is disturbing our whole mind-body ecosystem, and it is creating so much of disease within us. You see? Why? Because there is no regulation. So eating is screwed up, sleeping is screwed up, mating. So most animals, they have a particular season, and only during the season they mate and they produce children. And for most of the animals, they mate because they want to procreate. But we human beings, we do it any time of the year. There is no set season, and it's not just for procreation, but it is for just sense pleasure. So all these things are not good. Today that's why we see in human society there are premarital things, there are extramarital relationships, and so many nuisance with this LGBT thing coming up and people supporting it. All is happening in the name of independence and freedom, but they don't know by doing all these acts, actual freedom is taken away. They are getting more and more bonded by the karmic reactions. So that is not freedom. By performing all these illicit things, illicit activities, they are becoming more and more entangled by the reactions. You see? So it is not freedom. And why this is happening? Because lack of knowledge. So again, mating is all screwed up. Then comes the defending system. In fact, many animals, they don't need any weapons. They just defend by their own natural weapons like nails and other things. Of course, now we are developed and we are developing a lot of defense systems. So in one way we can say that we are better than animals in defense. But ultimately the propensity is the same. Defending for what reason? We are supposed to defend dharma. But today people are defending adharma. So that is not a good thing. So many people use their intelligence to defend all adharmic things. There are so many people who protest. They go on the streets to defend something which is irreligious. Right? So that is not what we should use the defending propensity for. So all these four things, when we screw up, we become lower than animals. Our consciousness is now degraded, lesser than animals. You see? So these are the bottom three rungs of the yoga ladder. So if all these things are there, then what is about this karma kanda? So this is something good that we need to discuss. So now going forward, let's understand what are the better things in this yoga ladder. So above karma kanda is actually the karma yoga. Now what is the difference between karma kanda and karma yoga? Karma kanda is regulated life, and there is no freedom from reaction of our action. But in karma yoga, you are performing actions, but that action is actually making you free from the bondage, existing bondage. No further entanglement. Now this is extremely important. Because this is intelligence to perform action which is not going to bind you. So amazing thing it is. Right? Just like a spider. You have seen the spider. When the spider, it performs the karma of building the web. it creates and builds the whole web, and when it wants to unwind, it will actually take the whole web into its mouth again back. There is no reaction for it. Again, it's just not a very appropriate example, but to just drive away the point, I am trying to say that how by performing karma yoga, you will not be entangled by the reaction. So this is different from karma kanda. And karma yoga also you are following the Vedic injunction. In karma kanda also you are following the Vedic injunction. But in karma kanda you are bonded, but in karma yoga you are becoming free. This is the difference, and this is exactly the subject matter of this particular third chapter, Karma Yoga. We are interested to know what is this Karma Yoga and how by performing an action we can actually become free. Now why we need to become free? Because the more you become free from the reactions of your previous karma or the existing karma, the more joyful you become. Please understand, the lesser the karma, the lesser the reactions and anarthas, the more joyful and more happy you become. So that is why Karma Yoga is extremely important. If you know that by performing certain action you are not going to get bound, oh so nice it is. Why? Because you will become more and more happy. Right? So this is Karma Yoga, and we are going to discuss Nishkama Karma Yoga and how to perform action in a way where you will not be bound. So that Krishna will explain very beautifully in this chapter. And above Karma Yoga, in this yoga ladder, is the Jnana Yoga, the rung of Jnana Yoga. And what is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is, as you are performing Karma Yoga, that Karma Yoga should lead to acquiring lots of knowledge. Knowledge about the self, knowledge about the Brahman. The culmination of Jnana Yoga is Brahman realization. I have explained this in the previous sessions also, that the absolute truth can be understood in three ways: Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, and Bhagwan realization. So God can be understood in three ways: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. And Brahman realization is the lowest realization, above that is Paramatma realization, and above that is Bhagwan realization. The topmost is Bhagwan realization. So Jnana Yoga can lead up till the realization of Brahman. And many people understand acquiring knowledge, jnani, so much of jnana they acquire, and through that jnana they come to know that, oh, I am the spirit soul. So that is extremely important. And then when you understand a lot of knowledge, the next rung above Jnana Yoga is the Ashtanga Yoga. And Krishna is going to explain Ashtanga Yoga in detail in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And we will really understand what are the ways in which we can perform Ashtanga Yoga, what are the benefits of Ashtanga Yoga, and all these things in the 6th chapter, where a Jnana Yogi, when a person acquires a lot of Jnana, he is going to use that Jnana to focus on the Paramatma. Have you seen a torch sometime? A torch, it has that focusing lens in the front. When you switch on that torch, the light is spread everywhere. But when you turn the lens in the front, the light will focus on a certain thing. The light will get focused very nicely. So same thing will happen in Ashtanga Yoga. All the Jnana Yogi has acquired, the process of Ashtanga Yoga will act like a lens and focus his Jnana onto the Paramatma. That focusing of Jnana is nothing but Ashtanga Yoga. Okay? So then, when a person, a yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, is become perfecting his yoga process, and his highest realization will now lead to the next and the topmost rung of the yoga ladder, and that is the Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga means the realization of the Bhagavan. Ashtanga Yoga is the realization of Paramatma. Jnana Yoga is the realization of the Brahman. So now, Ashtanga Yogi, when he becomes perfect, he develops a relationship with Bhagavan, and that is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means relationship. And relationship brings the bliss in our spiritual life. Relationship with God will bring the topmost happiness in our life. And this is the final essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Please understand, although Krishna has explained Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, but the ultimate message of the Bhagavad Gita is, O Arjuna and all you suffering living entities, please understand that you have a relationship with me. Krishna is explaining. The ultimate message of Krishna is, you all are connected with me and you have a relationship with me. So that development of relationship is through the process of Bhakti Yoga. Right? So we should not miss out any of these things. Although we may read a certain section, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, but we should know that ultimately it is all leading to Bhakti Yoga. And that is why Srila Prabhupada, no matter which chapter it is, he is constantly touching upon this Bhakti Yoga, because that is the essence. Okay? So I hope you are now clear with this yoga ladder. You know where we are heading towards. We know that this is how the progression will happen in our journey of studying the Bhagavad Gita. So today, with this, I just wanted to give a brief about this yoga ladder and Arjuna's questions and confusions that he has raised in the chapter 3. I open up now for question and answers, and if you have any questions, please feel free to do so. I think that will be very nice, because we are discussing Karma Yoga and it's important that we have some nice questions.
Prabhuji, I wanted to actually ask you, it sounds a little odd, but I have never understood completely the meaning of bhakti.
Okay.
Can you please explain?
Yes. It's a very nice question, Mataji, and in fact it is not an odd question. Because why it is not odd is because we have a very strong relationship with Krishna. So what is bhakti? Bhakti means you have unconditional love towards someone. There are many people who say that they are Deshbhakts. Deshbhakt means what? They have an unconditional love for their nation. So they are ready to give up every single pleasure of their own for the satisfaction and for the ultimate benefit of the nation. And that's what our soldiers are doing. Why? Because they have that utmost devotion for the nation and they will give up their life in spite of the inconvenience of giving up their own life. Right? So there is a bhakti in that. So what happens in bhakti is an act. I repeat that again. Bhakti is action. But action is what? For the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That is Bhakti Yoga. When you perform action for the pleasure of Supreme Lord, that is Bhakti. But the same action when you perform for your own sense gratification, that is not Bhakti. Like many people, many children, when we have children, parents have bhakti towards their children. Bhakti means what? They do unconditional service. Unconditional service towards their children. They don't expect anything from their children. That is out of love. Although in this material world, there is always some tinge of jnana, there is always tinge of certain expectations and desires. It is not completely pure bhakti, but when it comes to the Supreme Lord, we need to develop that intense plus unconditional love towards Him. That is what is bhakti. Bhakti means performing actions but for His pleasure, without any self-motivated ideas. That is bhakti. And how to perform this bhakti? There is a very beautiful book called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, written by Rupa Goswami. So, he explains the details of bhakti, how to perform bhakti, how do we get connected with the Supreme Lord, how do we have a relationship with that Lord. All these are different traits of bhakti. So now, just for example, there is a relationship that you are having with your children, your husband, your other family members. You know, there is lot of relationships. So, similar kind of relationship we can now develop with the devotees of the Lord and the Supreme Lord. So, when we have such devotion, this relationship, and we are performing actions with reciprocation, this is called bhakti. Bhakti is unmotivated love and unmotivated action. Yes, if there is any further question, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you.
Okay. We will definitely elaborate on this bhakti as we go forward, because in Sankhya Yoga also there are a lot of things that Krishna is going to speak about bhakti. And like I told in the earlier session, that Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. The first 6 chapters are dealing with different types of yoga: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. And the middle 6 chapters are all about Bhakti Yoga. From chapter 7 to chapter 12, it's all about Bhakti Yoga. And from chapter 13 to chapter 18, it's again the description of the nature of this world, the 3 gunas, and certain do's and don'ts and all those things. So the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita is exclusively talking about Bhakti Yoga. So there we are going to go into details of Bhakti Yoga and understand more in detail about Bhakti Yoga. Okay. I also see there is Vijay Vittal. I think this is the first time that you are joining our session. Thank you so much for joining, Vijay, and we really welcome you for this Bhagavad Gita study circle. So let me take some more questions here on chat section. Chaitanya is asking, is Garuda Purana also connected to Karma Yoga? Okay. Yes, in a way we can say that Garuda Purana also talks about Karma Yoga, because Garuda Purana is talking about certain rituals. Basically, although that is the intention of Krishna, see, Garuda is the greatest devotee and Krishna is one who is speaking to Garuda there. So just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, in Garuda Purana, Krishna is speaking to Garuda. And there, Garuda is asking another set of questions. And again, Garuda is asking all these questions for the benefit of all our humankind, human race. And especially Garuda Purana deals with questions of Garuda with respect to the Shraddha ceremony, the Shraddha rituals, what happens to the soul after death, and what are the different types of reactions and actions that the soul performs. All these different things are explained in the Garuda Purana. Now, is it Karma Yoga? It is actually both. It is Karma Kanda. At the same time, it is Karma Yoga, because there are certain principles where Krishna is. There are 3 sections in Garuda Purana, and one section clearly talks about again Karma Yoga. So, Garuda Purana also, in fact, all the scriptures, if you carefully look at them, they are always pointing towards Karma Yoga. They are always pointing towards Bhakti Yoga. So that is the ultimate message of all the Puranas. Although they talk about everything, But the essence is this, Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so Garuda Purana also talks about Karma Yoga. Yes. So Dev is asking, Prabhuji, can you give me an example of Karma Yoga? Now Karma Yoga means, for example, when you are eating every day, okay, but instead of directly eating, you like something like, okay, I want paneer butter masala today, and you want to eat it. But then, instead of directly cooking it for yourself and eat it, when you offer it to a certain devata or you offer it to the Supreme Lord, then it becomes Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. When you offer it to devatas, maybe Ganapati or any other devata, it is Karma Yoga. In a way it is, yes, you are following the injunctions of the Vedas. At the same time, it is not bonding as much as you would have directly eaten it. But when you offer it to Krishna, now it is Karma Yoga because there is no reaction. It is prasadam. It is not simply paneer butter masala. It is now paneer butter masala prasadam. So when you eat prasadam, then it is free from any reaction. This Karma Yoga is also called as Akarma. Akarma means not action, not inaction. It also means that action which has no reaction. I repeat that again. That action which has no reaction is called Akarma. This principle is not known or was not known to Newton. Newton only knew that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But he, unfortunately, doesn't know this principle of Akarma. Akarma means you perform an action but there is no reaction to it. And this is what we do. So this is a very beautiful example where on a day-to-day basis, when you are actually eating but you offer it to Krishna, then that becomes Karma Yoga for you. So you are cooking for the pleasure of Krishna. You are eating also for the pleasure of Krishna. Not just to satisfy your tongue, but actually by eating I will gain strength, and with that strength I am going to do devotional service. So then your purpose of eating is not simply pleasure, but purpose of eating is to serve Krishna. So that becomes Karma Yoga. You see? So I hope that answers your question. And Dev is asking another question. Also, after this Kartik month, can we continue to sing Damodar Ashtakam, or there is something else we can do before lighting a diya? Now, generally this whole Damodar Ashtakam is sung during this Damodara month, Kartik month. There is no harm in singing this Damodar Ashtakam all throughout the year. You can do so. But you can also learn a lot of new songs and devotional songs and Vaishnava songs and certain specific mantras. So good that you reminded me about this, and I will share a very interesting Narsimha Kavacham with all of you. So that will also help. You can all learn Narsimha Kavacham. Narsimha Kavacham is extremely powerful and I chant that every day. So you can learn Narsimha Kavacham. I am going to send the text as well as I am going to send you the audio file. Okay? So that way you can listen to it, you can start reading, and within a month you can easily by heart, you can actually memorize it. So, and you don't need the sheet as well. So generally even when I am traveling and I go to different places, I chant this Narsimha Kavacham for protection, not just for protection, also for devotion. So like that you can learn the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and there are many other specific mantras which are explained. So I will share all those things going forward. So you can practice all these different mantras. Now I am sure by singing Damodar Ashtakam all throughout this month, you may have actually memorized the Damodar Ashtakam, right? So similarly you can memorize other things as well. In fact, why not the shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita? Right? You can actually start listening to the shlokas and start memorizing the shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So please do so, that will be really very nice. And then Chaitanya is asking, Prabhu, they say serving mankind is serving God. how much true it is. Is it the same as serving Lord Krishna? Yes, many people say, Manav Seva hi Madhav Seva hai. In Kannada they say, Jana Seva ne Janardana Seva. So, you just take care of the human beings, be human, being human. You help people, you serve people, and by serving people, especially the poor people, that is as good as serving God. But that is not true, and that is not what Krishna says. See, when we talk about Bhakti Yoga, we are talking about an exclusive relationship with Krishna. It is not that by serving human beings we will develop love for Krishna. No, that is not possible. Because how many human beings can we love and serve? We have our limitations, right? There are so many human beings. There are so many living entities. It's not possible to serve each and every poor person, needy person, and love all of them. Not possible. But on the contrary, the scriptures say that when we develop love for Krishna and when we start serving Krishna, you actually serve the rest of the humankind, the rest of all the living entities. How? It's a very nice example. Okay, let me tell you this. Just like when you take water and you want to take care of the plant, will you pour the water to all the individual leaves and branches? No, it is impractical, right? You will not go and water each leaf and each branch of the tree. It is not possible. Instead, what you do is, you take the water and you pour it to the roots. So when you give the water to the roots, the water is spread across the tree. The roots will share the water to the whole tree. And that's how the tree will get nourished. So similarly, when we also serve the Supreme Lord, when we serve the Lord Krishna, you are actually serving the rest of the mankind and all the other living entities. Please understand this. You don't have to individually go and serve every person on this planet, which is impossible and impractical. Right? So that is why serving Krishna becomes so integral part. You just by serving Krishna, you will actually serve rest of the people. And there are practical ways of doing it, which we will definitely discuss going forward. That how by serving Krishna, everything in this world becomes very satisfied. In fact, in the Karma Yoga, in this very chapter, Krishna is going to explain a certain aspect of how by doing yajna and having the yajna phala, the yajna shishta, we become free from all these different types of misconceptions. And we will be serving everybody. Everybody will be very happy. So, we have to perform yajna. So, definitely, it is not Manav Seva is Madhav Seva, but Madhav Seva is definitely Manav Seva. We will understand this time. So, it is not by serving human beings you are serving God. It is a misconception. But we should respect each and every living entity. Not just human beings, we should respect every living entity because every living entity is a spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So we should give due respect to each one of them. So there is no doubt about it. But you cannot serve them. It's not that you go and serve a dog. Oh, come on, I will serve you and do puja for a dog. No, that is not right. You need to give due respect to everyone. But not that you give them respect like a god. No, that is not acceptable. Okay, so hope that answers your question, Chaitanya. And Hina Mataji is asking, Prabhuji, it is simple to understand that eating non-veg has a reaction, but is it true that eating even vegetarian food has reaction? Absolutely. Because even the plants are actually living entities. Although the plants cannot express their emotions, but these days there is a research done by scientists where they have found that even plants interact, they communicate with other plants and they also exhibit a lot of emotions. You see? So it is a very clear indication that plants are also living entities, and when we obstruct their progress in their journey of evolution, we are actually obstructing and creating a bad karma for us. So now what do? I mean, we cannot eat non-vegetarian food. Then are we not supposed to eat vegetarian food also? So that is why Krishna is saying that it is a minimum sin cycle. Although there is a sin, but it's a minimum sin cycle. Like earlier I had given this example. When you are driving a car and in front of the car suddenly a dog comes, and at the same time there is also an ant right below the tire. So now, will you think that, oh, should I now save the dog or should I save the ant? Yes, obviously our first intention will be to save the dog. We will not even care of the small insect or the ant on the street. We want to try to save the dog. Why? Because the dog is more developed than the small ant. Although it is living entity, but it's a minimum sin cycle. Why it is minimum sin cycle? When you kill an animal which has developed higher consciousness, the more the sin. But if you kill a certain living entity of lower consciousness, the sin is minimal. Although there is sin, but it is minimal. So plants have lower consciousness, so when you kill them, there is minimum sin cycle. But we are talking about free from all the reactions. So that is why Krishna is saying, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Krishna is saying that you offer me the vegetarian food, water, a leaf, a flower, and I will accept it when you offer it with love and devotion. So because Krishna has told Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, we are going to offer him, which is vegetarian food. If Krishna had told, if you offer me meat, all this non-vegetarian food, then we probably would have actually even offered non-vegetarian food. But Krishna is not asking for non-vegetarian food, he is asking for vegetarian food. By the way, Krishna can eat vegetarian and non-vegetarian. Krishna is free from all these karmic things. But for our progress in spiritual life, for our freedom from karma and karmic reactions, Krishna is saying, you offer me vegetarian food, and by eating vegetarian food, which is prasadam, you will become free from all the reactions. By eating vegetarian food which is offered to me, I will take away all the karma from that, and you can actually become free from the reaction of killing the plants. So this is how Krishna has explained further. So Shastra says, Jiva Jivasya Jivanaha. One living entity has to sustain on another living entity for its existence. So we have to depend on something to eat. Right? So eat and kill animals which has minimum sin, and plus when you offer it to Krishna, you are free from all the reactions. So hope that answers your question. So Chaitanya is asking another question, and Vijay Vittal, if you also have any questions, please feel free to ask. So it will be very nice. Chaitanya is asking how to convert fear towards God to love towards God. This is very interesting. Yeah, many people have fear for God, but they have not actually understood the principle of love towards God. And many people think that God means He's like a strict master, He's like a policeman who is constantly looking for all our wrong actions, and moment we perform wrong karma, bad karma, this police person, the Supreme God, will come and punish us. So this kind of idea people have. And in mostly the Abrahamic religions, this kind of concept is very much instilled. They say that, oh, if you don't do this particular thing, then God will push you into the hell, and for eternity you will suffer in the hell. So, no, that concept is not there in our Sanatana Dharma. Vedic scriptures do not explain anything like eternity within this material world. Whether it is hell or heaven, there is no eternal life in hell or no eternal life in heaven. Eternal life is only in the spiritual world. So because of this kind of ideas, people develop fear. Oh, I have to suffer constantly after death. I have performed so many actions, reactions, all this bad karma is going to come and hit me and I will suffer in the hell. In fact, my wife Arjuna, she had met one of her colleague or one of her friends in US when she was going to a church to give some talks. So there was this friend of hers called Tracy. So she had this fear that, oh, I have performed so much of wrong things. I take drugs and so many things and I may have to suffer for eternity in the hell. Lot of fear was there. And then when she gave a talk in the church, that talk was such a great relief for this lady because she thought, oh, that means that there is no eternal life in the hell. I may actually have, there is a scope for me to develop myself to be a better person and actually I can get rid of all the bad reactions. So the question that you have asked, that people have this fear for God is because of these kind of ideas, because of the suffering and the guilt feeling. So that we don't have to have. So there is lot of opportunity and scope for us to develop bhakti and become free from all the reactions. Now how to develop that love? First thing is to know, let us understand how we develop love in this material world. See, when a boy and a girl, if they have to fall in love, first is they look at each other, and when they look at each other, then they will start interacting. By the interaction, they get to know each other, and when they get to know each other, then there is feelings and emotions, and when with that feelings and emotion, finally they start loving each other, right? So the same process here also. So right now, when we see God as a stranger. That's why you may fear God, because He is a stranger to you. But when you read Bhagavad Gita, when you attend this session, what's happening is, you are now getting to know God better. You are understanding about God, what God likes and dislikes. So then, what happens is, just like in a relationship of a boy and a girl, when you know that a boy or a girl doesn't like something, you will try to avoid that, right? Oh, she doesn't like it, so let me not do it, because if I do this, then she will be hurt and she will not like it. My relationship with her may get disturbed. So similarly, when you understand that God does not like something, although God has not asked you to stop, but you will automatically stop. Why? Because now you feel, you have that feelings and emotions for God. Because now you know that He doesn't like certain things, you will avoid certain things. And gradually by doing these things, the emotions will develop and finally you will start loving Krishna. So, you are already in the process of loving Krishna by attending these sessions of Bhagavad Gita. Please understand. These sessions are actually making you more and more knowledgeable about what Krishna wants. Krishna is going to reveal His heart in the Bhagavad Gita. It is Krishna's words, not just words. Krishna is pouring out His emotions and intentions. It is His love for us that is speaking this Bhagavad Gita. And when you understand that yes, behind this philosophical topic, there is that beautiful emotion of Krishna, Krishna will reciprocate and we will develop Krishna's love for Krishna. Right? So, hope this will really give you an idea of how to develop love for Krishna. And this should be our sole purpose of practicing spirituality, that to develop love for Krishna. That's the highest thing. If you understand all the Nyaya, Tarka of Bhagavad Gita, and if you don't develop love for Krishna, what is the use? So, reading and understanding Bhagavad Gita, the ultimate purpose is to develop love for God, love for Krishna. And any religion which speaks about love of God, that is true religion. That is true religion. Prabhupada says this. If anybody teaches you how to love God and serve God, that is true religion. Because that is the constitutional position of the spirit soul. Okay? So hope that explains. And okay, so that's it for today. And Vijay Vittal, since you have come for the first time, I really appreciate that your presence here, and you can also share your number so that I can be in touch with you and I can share updates. We are all in the same group, so I can share you the updates of upcoming events. You can share your number if you wish to, okay? And Hina Mataji is asking, as a Grihastha, what can we incorporate on a daily basis to start our journey towards Karma Yoga? The very first thing, Mataji, that we can do as Grihastha is offering food to the Supreme Lord. I had mentioned this earlier because cooking is a day-to-day activity for Grihastha, right? For everyone. So since cooking is a very integral part of Grihastha life, I think it is important that we start offering the food that is cooked by us to the Supreme Lord before we actually take it. So it's a very simple process. Let me explain this so that all of you are here. I will tell you this process of offering food, okay? When you cook for the Lord, do it in a very clean way. All the vessels should be clean. You should have taken bath. And if possible, chant one round at least before you cook. And when you cook, you can cook anything. Whatever regular that you are preparing, you can cook without onion and garlic. It may be a challenge for you that, oh, without onion and garlic, now what is this? Non-vegetarian was okay, but now you are asking not to take even onion and garlic. Yes, because onion and garlic is in the mode of passion, Rajoguna, so we avoid this onion and garlic. So, and food becomes really tasty. It's not that, people have to add onion and garlic to make it tasty. This is a misconception. When you go to ISKCON temples and eat it in the Govinda restaurant, you will see high-taste restaurants. The food is amazing. And especially in Juhu temple in Mumbai, there is this nice Govinda. They have this nice buffet there. It is so amazing. I mean, you really cannot make out the difference. So, onion and garlic is something that you have to avoid while cooking. So then, when you prepare, you can have a separate plate for Krishna. You can have a nice bowl and plate a little bit, a nice water glass. So you arrange all these things, food items like rice, dal, chawal and everything else. When you cook and you put a tulsi leaf in each one of these items that you have prepared, and tulsi leaf is must because Krishna does not accept anything without tulsi leaf. So you have to add tulsi leaf in each of the items and then offer it, keep it in front of Krishna. When you keep it in front of Krishna, there are 3 prayers that we are already chanting in the invocation. The very first prayer is Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. This mantra is the Guru mantra which we need to chant for 3 times. Okay? So this has to be chanted 3 times with ringing the bell. You are ringing the bell and you are chanting. Then you chant the next mantra, that is the Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurat Vishe Namaha 3 times again. Then you are offering another prayer with ringing the bell. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Gobrahmanahitaya Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. See, these 3 mantras we are already chanting, we are already aware. I will also share with you. So 3 times, 3 times, 3 times. So what's happening is, when you take the food you have prepared, you first offer it to Prabhupada. You offer it to the Guru. Now Guru will offer it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in turn will offer it to Krishna. So this is the parampara that we follow. So when Krishna nicely partakes and he enjoys it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you keep, then again you go back after 5-10 minutes, you ring the bell and chant the Guru mantra once, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya once, and then once Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, with ringing the bell. And then the offering process is over. Now you can bring the plate back and you can take each of the item and put it in the main cooking vessel that you had cooked. So put all the items individually, rice in rice, dal in dal, and everything will get mixed and water can go in another separate container. Okay? Then take the plate of Krishna, and if you have time, you can wash them immediately, or at least pour some water in the plates and the bowls. Once you pour water in the bowls and everything, then you can take prasadam. Now all this process will take just about 15 minutes and additional time. So if you are taking your breakfast at say about 8 o'clock, if you are taking regularly your breakfast at 8 o'clock, you can pre-plan in a way where your cooking and everything will get over by 7:45. So 7:45 you are offering to the Lord, and in 10-15 minutes it's all done, and 8 o'clock you are still getting the food. So it's all about planning. So as Grihasthas, this is a very, very important aspect. Eating prasadam every single day. What an amazing thing. So now what's happening is, by eating prasadam, your consciousness is getting purified more and more, more and more. So please do follow this. It's very, very important aspect, and it is practical devotional service, and it creates a very beautiful atmosphere in the home, because everybody then will start having prasadam. It will purify our consciousness. So this one activity of cooking definitely we should do. And apart from that, regular chanting, our fixed number of rounds, whatever commitment you have taken, chant that many rounds, either 2 rounds or 4 rounds or 16 rounds, as per your time and convenience. And reading Prabhupada's book. Yesterday we had a very elaborate discussion on reading Prabhupada's books. So please read Prabhupada's books. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, small books also you can please read. That will be really very nice. Okay? So yes, so Mataji has this Higher Taste book. That's a very nice, beautiful book written by Yamuna Mataji, one of the first disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So please read that book. The Higher Taste is very beautiful. And Chetan is asking, we avoided garlic and onion from last 6 months, and I personally felt I am able to focus on things much better, Prabhu. Exactly. Very true. You will see that when you avoid onion garlic, you will become very clear. Your consciousness becomes clear. So please avoid onion and garlic. It's a humble request. Okay, so I think with this we come to end of this session today. I hope this session has helped you, and we will definitely take more questions going forward. And keep your questions ready. Keep thinking about all these discussions throughout the week, so that we make it more interactive every Sunday. So let's have a lot of question answers going forward. Okay. So that's it for today then. Thank you so much for joining once again. Take care. Hare Krishna.